Okay, hi everyone. We are almost ready to go for F2, round 2, and we are at Monza here in Italy for our 16 F2 drivers this week, and it's going to be a tough evening for them because we have a wet one-shot qualifying about to start, and then we're going to have a wet feature race as well here, and it's going to be a dry sprint race to finish. So it's not going to rain for the whole event, but it's going to be mostly wet for these guys. Not going to be easy, and we are seeing the qualifying start straight away. It's a one-shot qualifying like we said, and let's just get all the data up for you. There's your tyres, and there we go with that. And we've got, like I said, one-shot qualifying, TTM Stenner and Reflex Pilot. Oh, and we're seeing Reflex Pilot already. The guys in the wet conditions of Reflex Pilot go straight on at the first chicane. Stenner's the one who has the early advantage. Bone Apple T now on top. Ultra Titan was on pole last week in Russia. That was as good as it got for him last week. He's currently down in 6th. Budweiser's jumped up to first as it stands. And then Ultra Titan's run wide through there. It's difficult to keep up with everyone. Formula Maxim, who won the feature race last time out, currently involved in that battle at the top as well. Let's have a look from our current leader Budweiser's perspective on board. We can see it's raining slightly, not too down. I think they're actually on dry tyres as we're seeing Budweiser lose it there at the second Lesmo. And now it's Shush has jumped up. We'll keep on board with Bone Apple T to start with. IO Division Championship leader has retired. Crazy one-shot qualifying as Bone is going to run well wide there. No pace on these soft tyres. What a crazy qualifying session. Reflex has retired as well. It looks like Stenner, who was dropped out of the running at one point, has now jumped up back into pole. Parabolica to go. So slow on entry. Maxim's jumped up to second momentarily. Stenner looks like he's going to take pole. Foot on the accelerator. Shortest run down to the finish line, and it's Shush that takes it. Shush takes it by half a tenth. Monkey in P2. Stenner just beats Formula Maxim to P3. And, well, that was pretty crazy. That was just the start of this stream. And that's a similar weather, I think, to what we're going to get in the feature race. So, this is going to be pretty exciting. And there's your grid for the feature race. 15 laps, I believe. Shush on pole in the orange Campos. Monkey, Stenner, Maxim, Aero are your top 5. And all of that, I didn't even get time to introduce myself. I'm Bascom62. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, now we've got 2 races to look forward to here. Safe Space Racing F2 League. This is the second round of Season 2. And we'll run through the last week's race in just a moment. But there's your grid. Like I said, Shush nicking that pole. It looked like Stenner was going to grab it based on the timing screen. But Shush has grabbed it at the end there. And good qualifying from him. Our championship leader, I Division, is well down in P14. Okay, like I said, I'm just going to wait for everyone to ready up. We have got 15 laps, I believe, here for the feature race, followed by an 11-lap sprint race. For those who... Oh, and Sue's readied up. That's Vortex is readied up early, unfortunately. I'm not sure if that means a lobby restart or not. But we'll see. But yeah, like I said, 15-lap feature race, 11-lap sprint race that we're going to get. We'll have a formation lap, I believe, in the meantime. I'm not just going to check if we've got a lobby restart or not. Let's find out. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We did have some lobby issues last week. I don't think we're going to have a restart, but we'll find out. We do have a formation lap to take us away. And while they're going through that, let's run through last week. So we had... who was it? It was Ultra Titan who was on pole last week, and he unfortunately got the 4 points for pole, which Shush will have this week, but unfortunately didn't score any points in either race, so he's still on 4 points in the championship. Formula Maxim won from 3rd on the grid in the feature race last time out. He's in 4th this time, so good opportunity for him to score well again. And then II Division won the sprint race after, I believe, also being on the podium in the feature race. So he's our championship leader. He's 10 points clear, an early championship lead of Formula Maxim. A few guys lined up in behind as well. And Monkey will be looking to capitalise on that P2. Plenty of guys looking to have a good race here. TTM Stenner, who won last season's championship, only in P7 in the championship after race 1. So he's going to be looking to do something from 3rd. And in these weather conditions, as we're already seeing, I think that might have been TDC Perez running wide there on the formation lap. And these conditions are going to be tricky. These guys on intermediate, or wet tyres I think it is, just dry and wet tyres in F2. So these guys on the full wets, and it looks like it's pretty wet anyway, to be fair. And let's get that hidden, that as well. So yeah, I think we're going to see some carnage in turn 1, that's for sure. If you are watching, feel free to join along in the chat, let me know. Oh, and someone's spinning, and Psycho Chaz has been disqualified. Let me know any predictions in the chat, guys. Shall we take some guesses on how many cars are going to spin or be hit on turn 1 in these conditions? Hello, Boogie Slayer, hope you are all good. And let's see them. A couple of guys disqualified in the formation lap. That is not going to help their starts in these conditions. And that's probably best if we go back up to the front. And we see the cars there that were disqualified already on their grid spots. And Shush in the Campos, Monkey in the Prima. Side by side, or almost side by side at the start here. I think we saw a couple of people in the dry last week stalled on the grid in that feature race. A few of these guys are their first season racing F2, still getting used to the cars. And I wonder, this camera angle is atrocious. That's even worse. That's better. Can't see the lights, so we're going to have to wait and guess when they're going to go. But the grid is lined up. We've got a green flag, and you can hear the lights counting down. Let's wait and see who's going to get a good start. And sure, and Monkey does stall. We called it, and Monkey's stalled on the grid from P2. I think, I can't remember who was behind him, might have been Maxim. Went straight into the back of him. Bad start by Monkey. He's down to the back of the grid. Stenner and Shush going side by side. Stenner now on the inside for turn 2, but has to back out. Shush stays in the lead, and Aero's up there as well. And Shush is onto the grass. Who was that? Maxim is gone off at turn 1. And Aero leads Stenner now. And where has Shush gone? Down the P5. Good start from Vortex as well. In the P4. Stenner and Aero are going to go side by side into the second chicane. Stenner just stays in front. And now Bone Apple Tea, double podium finisher last time out, is going to try and make a move on Stenner. But he has to settle back in. He's in the other Campos. Shush and Monkey 1 and 2 in qualifying with bad starts. We saw Monkey just completely stall on the grid. Just completely decided that he didn't want to move. And I think that caused Maxim to drive straight into the back of him. As we see the guys flying down now towards Ascari chicane. This could be slightly messy with a few guys side by side. Oh, and there we see Shush punted off into the grass. I think that was contact with Psycho Chaz. Didn't see exactly, got to be careful, Shush, with your rejoin. He is back on the track now. Maxim's right behind him. That was just, didn't look like he got left any room at all there on the outside. And Shush, God, the curse of pole position in F2 continues. Ultra Titan not scoring last week after finishing, or qualifying on pole. And Shush now down to 13th on the grid. Really, really not great for him. Monkey apparently has jumped up 7 positions, but that doesn't look like that's the case. We've got more action up the front as Chaz makes a move. Oh, and makes a contact with Bone Apple Tea. That was, didn't see the start of that move, but we saw the end of it. Psycho Chaz Was that? Yeah, Psycho Chaz. And oh, and that's just Sander getting the inside curve. These guys are really struggling with the conditions. I'm seeing some telemetry issues. But that was just Sander. And who are we looking at here? This is very tough to see what's going on with this telemetry. We've got Bone Apple T is going side by side. I think that's II Division behind him. And then we see in the background there, Division has got past. He's in the red and black Prima, I believe that is. Bone Apple T, that's probably not a Prima actually. I'm still learning these cars, but he's in the red and black car. That's how we describe that one. He's got past Bone Apple T. He's dropped down to P4. And Psycho Chaz is now being harassed by Vortex. We saw these two have contact at turn 1 of this lap. Someone's already been shown a blue flag. That's not a great start for them, whoever that is. And yeah, and then Psycho Chaz hit the back of Bone Apple T. So not sure if he's got damage. But they're going to go side by side into Parabolica. We've already seen Chaz squeeze out Shush of the Ascari. This time he's actually gone deep. And Vortex, nice little move there from Vortex. Switch back at Parabolica in the wet, very nicely done, and he's already up into P5. And now Reflex Pilot is also interested in joining this three-way battle. And let's see what happens here then. We're going to see Psycho Chaz go deep. Someone's gone very deep in front as well. Not sure who that was. I think that was Division. Vortex is round. Oh, he's lost it there. And then Division, we saw, we're on board with Division now. And he just went straight on at turn 1. Allowed Bone Apple T to jump back up into P3. And now it's Division, he's going to tuck back inside. We haven't even managed to have a look at the leaders yet. And is that, who's that? That Reflex Pilot? I think, yeah, that's Reflex Pilot. And he's in the gravel. These guys are struggling with the overtakes here in the wet. Budweiser's in the pits. Remember in the feature race, I assume it's still the same in the wet conditions. You can't make your mandatory pit stop until after lap 3. So I'm not sure if that might be one lap too early for Budweiser. He might have to pit again. These guys are struggling. Let's have a look at position changes early on. We're seeing II Division qualified in P14. And he is up into P4. He was P3 as well momentarily. So great start from him. All the guys on wet tyres in the damp conditions. Backmarker Racing League in the chat. Thanks very much for following. They say go Zampa. Zampa, fair to say, still getting used to these F2 cars. Normally very quick in the F1 cars, of course. Still getting used to the F1 cars, the F2 cars this season. His second race for us, and he's down in P13. But thanks very much for following. AJ Mars in the chat. Moist, is it? That is definitely how you could describe it. And I'm sure you would describe it better than I do, AJ. Looking forward to hearing you in the commentary box this weekend for Tier 2, I believe. And Zampa, the curse of my commentary, has retired from the race. And that is on track at Parabolica. And we've got a safety car. Zampa, and I'm not sure if that was me or BRL that's cursed him there. But he is out of the race. We're just going to go on board with TDC Perez. And Zampa's car's just disappeared on the outside here of Parabolica. Zampa is out of the race. He was in that gravel somewhere. And we've got a full safety car. And that is going to spice things up. And the TDC Perez gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. But Ultra Titan is in. That's going to be good news for him. He seems to be in the pit for a long time. I'm not sure if that's a change of front wing. But these guys have managed to get into the pits early. We've pressed Y there, AJ. No problem. Still getting used to this streaming thing. And yeah, so we've got a safety car. I'm going to assume that all these guys are going to come in then and then try and go to the end of the race on the wet tyres. But not good news for people like Psycho Chaz, who's currently behind his teammate. He's going to have to double stack. Who else? I think Monkey's okay. Just Sander, not too far behind Reflex Pilot. He's going to have to double stack. Still getting used to these teams. I'm not sure. Shush and Bone Apple T as well. Definitely going to have to double stack. And we'll see who else. These guys still battling out here. The safety car is definitely out. Who's leading that pack? We'll see if Stenner comes in. He's just going around Parabolica right now. And we have a safety car. And there we go then. Everyone is in the pits. And who do we see? Anyone lose out there? I'm not seeing anyone on the double stack, but I'm going to have to assume that there was some in there at some point. Unless anyone has their own, everyone has their own pit lane. As oh, we've got three cars inside each other there. We are after the watershed, so that's not a problem. And who's lost out there? I think Monkey's lost out. Psycho Chaz, we said that he was going to have to double stack, and he has dropped down to P10. He was P5, I think, before the pit stops. The top four, in fact, have come out intact. And so we're going to have a couple laps on the safety car, and then what I would assume is probably going to be just a sort of 7-8 lap sprint race. And the Zampa in the chat saying my rear is locked at Parabolica and I went into a wall. I have to say, if I could pick a corner that my rears were going to lock up, Parabolica would be well down on that list. It's not easy in the dry, let alone in wet conditions in F2 cars. But what you have done there, Zampa, is given us a safety car, which has spiced this race up quite considerably. Not that it really needed it. And we've got, oh, didn't miss that when it happened, but both Stenner and Bone Apple Tea with 5-second time penalties for, I can only assume, is speeding in the pit lane. Vortex has got a time penalty for exceeding track limits on multiple occasions, but 5 seconds. Oh, who's that? That is TDC Perez we're on board with, and we've caught that. Perez under the safety car, just showing how difficult the conditions are there. He has span out. That's going to just extend it. I think he's going to have to pit as well. He is struggling completely. I think he said he hadn't done many F2 races before the race. And oh, is that difficult to tell whether that was on track or not. It's got a DNF. Well, it was on track, but whether it was from terminal damage or not, can we see that in the race director? Let's have a look. TDC Perez was with terminal damage, so not sure what happened there. We should have stayed on board with him. And we can see him actually on the track map on the right hand side. He's in between the two Lesmos, which is impressive. I obviously spun again, lit those tyres up, and I'm not sure if that's going to extend the safety car or not, but TDC Perez is also out of this race. And I believe it's going to be a dry sprint race, luckily for these guys, so they will get some respite from this rain that is causing chaos, and TDC Perez's car has disappeared, so we're not going to be able to see that one either. 14 drivers left in the feature race, 9 laps to go, and we're going to find out in just a minute if the safety car will come back in and we can get going again. Current order: Stenner, Aero, Bone Apple Tea, Division, Reflex Pilots, your top 5. 9 laps to go here in F2. And we have got, there we go, safety car is in this lap. Like you can see on the left hand side of your screen, TTM Stenner and Bone Apple Tea, both with 5-second penalties for speeding in the pit lane. And that is, I assume it was actually, let's just double check, unless it was for a collision under the safety car. That's the other possible thing. But no, it was definitely speeding in the pit lane for both those guys. Stenner backing up the pack now. And we've got 9 laps to go after this, and those two are going to have to drive very, very good races, both of them now, to finish on the podium. Aero looking good in P2, Stenner still backing up the pack, everyone waiting for him to give the green light to go, and I think he has gone now. There's going to be a few guys who are going to struggle, I think, to get straight up to speed. And let's rejoin the front of the pack, and that's Division already pressuring Bone Apple Tea. These guys are going to go 3 wide, I think. No, just the 2 wide as Division up the inside. And Bone Apple Tea now with the inside line for turn 2, but Division gets better traction, and Division is in front. Bone Apple Tea is now going to go around the outside of Curva Grande. That's going to be tough in these conditions. He is now going to have the inside for the second chicane, but Division breaks much later. Is he going to run wide? He is. He's broke too late. But he somehow keeps it going and keeps it going at a decent speed, but not quick enough to keep Bone Apple Tea behind him. These two are having a really good battle just before the safety car and now just after. And we've got Reflex Pilot also involved in that. Remember, Bone Apple Tea with that 5-second penalty. All of these guys batting it out, but Bone is going to struggle to keep that third place, whether he can keep it on track or not, because that 5-second penalty is going to drop him back down the pack at the end of this race. Same with Stennet, a couple of guys jostling for position behind that. Craig Conley in the chat, hope you are well, mate. He said, I might just jinx Bone Apple by joining. Well, Craig, it would be good to see you in F2. We're seeing a lot of the established F1 drivers testing it out this year. Some of them faring better than others. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a reason Zampa's in the chat. And Stenner sets the fastest lap of the race, and now Bone Apple Tea is caught up. And we said Stenner might struggle with that 5-second penalty, but he's already pulled out a 2-second gap. Look at that on aero. He is stretching his legs right now, and he's got to do that. And Reflex Pilot now battling with Division. It's going to allow Bone Apple Tea a chance. Oh, and Psycho Chaz with a penalty. It's going to allow Bone Apple Tea a chance to stretch his legs as well. A few guys battling behind here. Let's give this some view. Right down at the back, it's Ultra Titan and Bradley Johnson. Ultra on the outside. I think slight contact there. Ultra Titan just about keeps it on the track. And Psycho Chaz, surely not. That's a late move. Oh my god. Does he get the move done? I guess he does. It's a good move in the end. Had me with my heart in my mouth for a second, but he is through. We've caught that at the back, and now who's this? Formula Maxim, last week's feature race winner, currently at the lowest of points positions, and now look, oh my god, Reflex Pilot going very slow, and now just Sander looks to have a load of pace down towards Ascari. Is he gonna? This is a risky move in these conditions. He's gonna go for it though. Oh, Division's forced wide slightly. Sander does let him back on. And these guys are just so close to each other now, and it's allowed both Stenner and Bone Apple Tea to extend those gaps with those 5-second penalties. This is 5 wide almost into Parabolica. Crazy stuff from these guys, but they are keeping it clean here in Monza. Very, very good racing from all of these drivers right now, but it is allowing the top 3 to escape with 6 laps to go. Is anyone going to make a move into turn 1? Ultra is in the pits and has got a 5-second penalty. And it's fair to say that that pole position, as just Sander cuts the corner, that pole position in Russia for Ultra Titan is as good as it's got so far for him, unfortunately. As that's Bone making a move on aero for P2 here. Needs this if he wants to start building that gap up. Is he going to make a move? He's on the inside. And then Aero then has the inside for the second part of the chicane. And he looks like he's going to go for it here. No, he just hits the brakes. And says, no, I'm going to wait a second. But we'll keep an eye on that. No DRS, of course, in these conditions as Sander runs wide at Lesmo 1. Which means that by Lesmo 2, Shush is in front and he's up in the P4. And Sander says, I want that position right back. And he's going to have a better exit. And he's be on the outside for Ascari. Well, actually, he's going to be in front for Ascari. As Bone and Aero are also racing. Difficult to keep up with these guys. Everyone wants an overtake. And Bone has got through crucially on Aero. And also crucially, oh, what's happened here? Is someone... Oh, Shush is off. Sander was off as well. We've missed that. We can see in the background Shush is facing the wall. And he's out of the race. And that was, I guess, you could say, bound to happen at some point. Shush is out of the race, unfortunately. Contact, I'm going to assume, with just Sander, who was also facing the wrong way at one point. And not great. We missed the contact, unfortunately. We saw them battling down there. We checked in on Bone and Aero, and then we went back. They were both facing the wall. Shush is out of the race. Just Sander is down to 10th. He hasn't had to pit, fortunately. But he has dropped down from P4 to P10, and it's allowed II Monkey from nowhere is up into P4. Wow. So I'm assuming Division and Reflex got caught up in that as well. And Monkey's jumped up massively. That's done wonders for him. So what does this mean for the championship so far? Well, Division had a 10-point lead over Formula Maxim. So he's going to extend that lead, but it's going to allow the guys of likes of Stenner and Bone to close that gap before the sprint race. Remember, the top 8 are reversed for the sprint race. So currently Formula Maxim will have pole position in the second race of this event. And TTM Stenner will start in P8. The guys from 9 down to Zampa in P16 will start where they finish. So that's going to be tough for the guys who have DNF'd to score some points in the next race as well. But for the likes of Maxim, Vortex, they're going to be looking forward to a dry sprint race starting at the front of the grid. And but yeah, Monkey stalled from P2. And now he is back up in the P4 from last essentially. So he is trying to break that curse of starting at the front of the grid of O'Shush. So with that Shush DNF, it means that after 3 races here in F2 this season, the guy on pole won't have scored a point. So possibly better to avoid that next week. Guys, in qualifying, maybe P2 might be better for you guys. And Monkey's definitely quicker than Aero. Gap down to half a second. And let's see what's happening with Psycho Chaz and Formula Maxim. The battle for pole in the sprint race. And Chaz goes slightly deep. We saw him cut the corner a little bit, and he's gonna. Let's have a better view of that. Where is Maxim? There. He's. Oh, that's close. I think it's dubious to say that Chaz is leaving enough room here. He just about does there. That's better racing from the 2. That's again close, but you can say Chaz is just about leaving the room, and he is quicker. Maxim's. Oh, Maxim on the grass. Oh my god. And oof. Tough to call that one. Chaz, I think, just about left the room, but Maxim was sort of forced onto the grass, meant he couldn't brake at all for the chicane, and it meant that they both, well, couldn't take the corner as they would have liked, and actually the end result is that Maxim's got back through. And now we missed Monkey, sailed past Aero. Aero is really struggling now on these tyres. Or with his pace, I'm not sure, but Division, our championship leader, is flying up onto the back of the fake Red Bull, as I'm going to call it, because I don't know the team name. And I think what we'll do this season in F2, instead of learning the team names, we'll just get creative with them. So that's going to be the fake Red Bull. And II Division, I think, is going to probably get past Aero before the corner for turn 1. It's a bit of a drag race we've got going on now, and actually I might be wrong there. They're going to be side by side still. And Division, very nicely done, takes the inside for the second half, but then again we're seeing the guys on the inside don't get any traction in these wet conditions. Sorry, Aero was the one on the inside. Like I said, I'm still learning these cars. And Division does sail up into P4. He was on the outside, got the better traction, and he gets the move done. He's now, with that 3-second penalty, got 3 laps to extend that gap and keep P4 in the race. Aero's going to want to stick behind him. 3 seconds, he's got to stay within. Monkey got a big gap to make up. That top 2. Oh, sorry, actually, no, he's caught up with Bone. The big gap is between Bone Apple and Stenner. So Stenner, even with that 5-second penalty, looking really good for P1. He's almost certainly going to win this race. But now Bone Apple T has got a fight. He's definitely almost certainly going to lose P2 because Monkey is so much faster than him right now. It's just then whether he can hold off Division with that 2 seconds extra penalty. And Spitfire is back. Sorry, I just had to work out the numbers there. Spitfire is back in the chat saying that the fake Red Bull is in fact a Carlin. And that's very helpful, thank you very much. And we're seeing the Carlin being overtaken by Reflex Pilot. And that is the white car. And I'm sure Spitfire will let me know what one that is in the chat in a minute. But yeah, Reflex Pilot has overtaken Aero. And Aero, even though he hasn't got any penalties, that might save him come the end of a race. But his pace has dropped off considerably, down from P3 down to P6. And this is a crucial battle here between just Sander and Formula Maxim. That's the battle for pole in the sprint race. The difference here between finishing P8 and P9 is huge, because if you finish P8 in this race, you start on pole. And if you finish in P9 in this race, you start in P9 in the sprint race. So if Sander can get past and he's got no penalties, which is going to help that cause, he's going to have a much better starting position for the sprint race. And that penalty for Reflex Pilot takes him up to 6 seconds. Oh, your Vortex, why are you typing and driving? That's my question to you. But well done for being able to do that. I've attempted it a few times and I struggle at doing it. Especially in these conditions. You're P7 and you're typing and driving at the same time. That is very impressive, and thank you for letting me know. And Monkey up into P3, closing that gap on Bone Apple T. Doesn't actually have to make the move, and Division is caught up as well. So I think Bone Apple T is going to end his early run of podiums here in Season 2. On the podium in both races last week. But that 5-second penalty, speeding in the pit lane, he's going to be very frustrated about that. TTM Stenner, fastest lap of the race. He's down into the 138s now. Obviously not massively representative in these wet conditions, but the Bone Apple T has got Monkey and Division hunting them down now. And let's have a look at Budweiser, because he is all over the back of Chaz by the looks of things. And he's going to make that move up towards, he's going to get in front before turn 1 is Chaz. We've seen him make a couple of late moves already. Is he going to try and send it back into turn 1 to defend? He's not actually going to do turn 1. He's just going to decide to do... Oh, contact. Chaz is onto the grass. He'll say Budweiser didn't leave him much room, but I'm not sure he should have been there in the first place, in my opinion. But difficult to see from that angle. And I'm sure if the stewards need to look at it, they will. And obviously no replay feature here, so we won't be able to have a look at that. And Bradley Johnson, we can see there on the timing screen, is now over the back of Chaz. But we're going to focus on the top two with, or sorry, second and third with 1.5 laps to go. And II Monkey is all over the back of Bone Apple T. Doesn't need to get past though. Bone Apple T with the 5-second time penalty for speed in the pits, but what it is doing is allowing Division to catch up. Division with a 3-second time penalty, so he needs to be within 2 seconds of Bone come the end of the next lap. Something that I think he is probably going to do, because he's well within a second right now. And again, just hanging on to the back of here. AJ Mars in the chat cheering 3 bits. Thank you very much, AJ. Hope you're all good there in Texas. Not struggling too much with the conditions there. Doesn't look much fun. For once, I can sit in England and say I'm glad I don't have someone else's weather. But I hope you're doing well. Thanks for cheering the bits. And 15 bits from AJ. He wants a bit war, but Stenner's racing, and so our bit war main challenger is probably unable to join in right now. And if Stenner just does pick up a 3-second time penalty, not sure it's going to change too much up the top. Let's focus on these guys. Monkey's just, we see Monkey just holding back. Division again, content just to sit behind as well, I think. So actually let's focus on this battle, because this battle is really crucial, although the time penalty is going to render it slightly needless in the end. But Sander's going to want that 8th place on track. This is for pole in the sprint race. And looks like Sander is going to get it. In fact, I think Sander's actually going to get P7. Vortex might be the one who's going to be on pole next time out. And let's have a look. Is he going to try and make a run? We've seen closing down towards the Ascari, but he's already had a 1 contact here with Shush that rendered the car out of the race, and wisely thinks better of it. So let's go and have a look then. TTM Stenner crosses the line. He wins for the first time this season, I believe. We'll just wait until Bone crosses the line and double check. But Stenner looks like he has won this race. His first win of the season for our defending champion. Bone's going to cross the line, and with his penalties he drops down to P4. Monkey takes P2. Division extends his championship lead over Maxim, who is in P2 with his 3rd place. He'll be happy with that after his bad qualifying. He made up 11 places there. Monkey also stalled on the grid and was down in last place. So Monkey in Division, brilliant stuff from them to get on the podium. Aero P5 after leading early on. Reflex Pilot P6, just under P7, and Budweiser brilliantly with no penalties. Very happy with that because he has jumped up to P8, and that is crucial. Pole for the sprint race. And Vortex will be disappointed to miss out on that. He misses out by under a second on penalties. So Budweiser on pole for the sprint race. Vortex, Bradley Johnson, Maxim, Psycho Chaz, and Ultra Titan make up your grid. And yeah, we're seeing Vortex in the chat there. Disappointed to have missed out on that position for the sprint race. Budweiser jumped up at least 2 spots there, if not 3. Those penalties, great job from him, and that's going to be crucial. And yeah, Vortex disappointed to miss out on that. Like we were saying in the middle of that race, that difference between 8th and 9th is absolutely massive in regards to the next race. So that's unfortunate for Vortex. And they're standing back on the top of the podium, where we saw him so often last season in F2 and in F1 as well, in fairness, but also on in F2. And we'll be happy with that. He's going to start P8 in a minute for our sprint race. So, Stena Monkey Division, Trident, Prima, Uni Virtuosi. That's what we need to remember. Still a few weeks away from remembering that, I think. But there we go. We know that Vortex, like he said, the fake Red Bull is the Carlin, and the orange car is the Campos. That's about as far as we are at the minute. Stena with 27 points. I assume that's 2 points for fastest lap as well, so that's a big gain for him in the championship. He makes 12 points on division. And let's just have a look at that. So Stena he was 24 points behind, so he's half that gap in the championship in one race, and that will gain him plenty of positions. And we are seeing finally a dry track here in Monza for the first time tonight. And just while we're waiting, guys, I'm going to remind everyone in the chat that we have a full weekend of F1, starting with Tier 1 tomorrow, and with Ghosting turned off tomorrow, a new feature in our Tier 1. Going to test it out tomorrow in Austria. So Tier 1 tomorrow, Stena ready's up, but that's not a problem in the sprint race as far as I know. Tier 1 tomorrow, Austria at 11 PM. Saturday, Tier 2 at Brazil, also 11 PM, and Tier 3 is racing at Spa. So 3 very, very fun tracks this weekend. Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. Make sure you tune in for those races all at 11 PM. And that obviously F2 tonight. We've got one more race, 11 laps around Monza. Full sprint race. We've got the formation lap to start, but they don't have to make a pit stop. So what we're going to see is a very similar race to what we had after the safety car, obviously without the rain. All these guys fast as they can for 11 laps, no pit stop needed, obviously, unless they have damage. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're seeing Budweiser on pole after that impressive 8th place just a few minutes ago. And we've got the likes of Stena, Monkey in Division, Bone Apple Tea as well, who have got the pace to make their way through the grid. You have to say Shush down from 14th is also going to look to be a little bit racy here. Missed out on points that he probably should have had last race, and he's got some making up to do in the chat. Not in the chat, in the race. I'm not sure why he would have any making up to do in the chat. That's because I was reading chat at the same time. Sorry about that. Craig Conley in there with a race prediction. Ultra Rack. And I'm not sure what that means, but I assume it has something to do with Ultra Titan. Let's find out in a minute. And we're seeing the top two miles away from everyone else. Pineapple T in 5th with his usual trick of the slowest formation lap in history. What detail do we want? Oh, Chaz once again disqualified. These guys are all mediums other than Maxim on the softs. We missed that. And that's interesting from Maxim. Difficult to know if these softs are going to go to the end. I'm not sure on that. But we'll keep an eye on his pace. Everyone else on the medium tyres, they're going to try and get to the end. Vortex in the chat saying he thinks Stenner's going to win. And Craig Conley and AJ Mars having a very intelligent discussion on Ultra Titan's real name. And we are sat on the grid still. And there we go. We are underway, or about to get underway. And once again, we have no good camera angle or any indication of how many lights are on. But let's find out how these guys are going to get on a dry track in Monza. 11 laps, sprint race, F2. Budweiser is on pole and he is away. Everyone getting away much better than Monkey did in the feature race. And who is that? Aero pulling way out almost onto the grass. What a start from Aero in the car. Then that's a car. Oh my god, that was Monkey. I shouldn't laugh, that's very unprofessional, but that was a hell of a sight. Monkey facing completely the wrong way, sliding straight across the front of everyone, and he is now down at the back of the grid. I'm not sure what happened there. We just caught that brilliant camera angle of Monkey flying across the first chicane. Budweiser's down to P3. Sander and Aero have jumped him, but that's an amazing clip. That'll be on Instagram by the end of the weekend, I'm sure. And Monkey with a 3-second penalty for corner cutting. I'm not sure if he meant to do that or not. But he's down at the back of the grid. And we've got a few cars sliding around in the midfield. Vortex has made a move on Shush. Then they're down to P9. Shush with a good start back from 14th. And these guys are all jostling. Shush on the inside of Vortex, I think that is. Oh, who's that? Not sure who's that sliding around. That is Maxim. He's had a tough weekend and it gets worse for him. He's down at the back of the grid after a slide through Ascari. We're seeing a few cars, actually seeing more cars sliding around in the dry than we did in the wet. And now we've got Pineapple T. Aero is, I think that's a telemetry issue. Aero apparently he's dropping down the grid, but I don't think he is. We've got Pineapple T and Division and I think possibly Vortex. Oh, is Aero lagged out? I'm not sure. We'll wait for the telemetry to come back. It's definitely Division and Vortex who are side by side, and someone else is spun in the middle of a lap of it. I've got no idea what's going on according to the game. Let's just see what. Let's just go on what we can see. Sander leads, and then we've got Division, Bone Apple. Oh, there's a car on the gravel. I've got no idea who that is. And apparently Zampa and Maxim are in the lead, but I don't think they are. Division. And it's Bone Apple T, I think, went wide. Vortex as well, possibly. Ultra Titan and TDC Perez have dropped down dramatically. So I think they were also involved. One car well out into the gravel. Unfortunately, the lap data on the left-hand side not particularly helpful in identifying who that was. Oh, and we've caught Division. Gone far too fast through Ascari. And he's done a full 720 spin into the barrier. And there's another car spinning behind him. That's Maxim again. These guys are struggling more in the dry than they did in the wet on their own. maybe it's these medium tyres, but they are full struggling, and Just Sander is all over the back of Aero for the race lead. Lap 3, DRS enabled for the first time tonight, and it's getting put to good use as Sander goes down the inside, and now, oh, squeezing each other out. There's contact there for sure between the two. Aero gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cut, and those two are dragging each other along, and now Budweiser says, yep, thank you very much, Aero, I'm going down the inside. He's up in the P2 now. He goes slightly deep, not a great camera angle. He goes slightly deep at the second chicane, keeps P2. Great battle between these top four. Division was a part of that, but he spun at Ascari, so his championship lead is going to be cut here in this sprint race. Stenner, what's happened to Stenner? He's in P7 alongside Vortex. Yellow flag in sector 3. I think that's Maxim. Might be in the pit. Oh no, what's Maxim up to? I'm not sure how. Oh, Maxim. Oh dear. What are you doing there, Maxim? We'll keep an eye on that. Everyone manages to get through Ascari pretty well this time. Oh, have I jinxed that? Perez, no, that's at Lesmo 2. TDC Perez is out. Carnage here in the dry sprint race. This is busier. Virtual safety car is out. That's going to calm everything down. Maximum of a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. I think he might have given up. But if you're going to give up, do it in the pit lane, please. And the virtual safety car slows this race down, allows me a chance to catch my breath. Budweiser leads. We missed him overtake Sander. Budweiser with great pace. Sander P2 now, Aero P3, Reflex P4, Bone Apple somehow keeps P5 after all that. Vortex, and we are away, green flag again. Let's just take a second, let's watch this battle up front. Craig Sam practically spit my water out. That's at Monkey on turn 1. I very much would have done the same had I had a drink. That was very, very funny to see that as Just Sander and Aero on the inside of Lesmo 1. We saw Sander was quicker under DRS a lap ago, and now Aero just has to back out. Them two very similar on pace by the looks of things. They're going to have a great battle. Bone T pressured by Vortex now. For P5 this one. Vortex said full send after missing out on pole. And he has done it. Yeah, very nice overtake up the inside of Ascari. Really nicely done. Oh, that looked like a car that was facing the wrong way. Is that Maxim? I think it might be. In fact, I'm almost certain it is. So we'll ignore that. And Vortex, nice move up into P5. And now Stenner looking to make up ground. Started P8 in the sprint race. He is going to view this as an opportunity to make up more ground on division. Bone Apple T. Let's just jump up to the start. Sander now up the inside using DRS down the inside of Budweiser. We've got a really, really good battle for the lead here. 4 cars involved, and then another 4 cars further back in the battle for P5. God, this is carnage. But great racing from everyone, really, other than a couple at the back. But the guys who are battling non-stop at the front, very clean from what we can see so far. I hope I haven't jinxed it as Aero looks up the inside of Budweiser. Everyone stays out of each other's way. Reflex a little bit deep. Oh, a nice switchback from Aero. We've got a yellow flag again. I think that's Maxim. He's in the pit lane. I think that could be his race done. Budweiser back in front. These guys have gone side by side for 3 corners now, and it's allowing Reflex Pilot to get in front of Aero. And there we say Reflex Pilot joining in this battle, and what it's done is allowed Sander also an opportunity to escape. He's now 1.7 seconds up the road in the lead. It's looking good for him so far. Still not even halfway through though. And who's that running wide? That's Aero running wide. And Reflex Pilot and Budweiser are going to go side by side through Parabolica. AJ saying Bud taking full advantage. Craig Conley saying go Bud. Yeah, he had a great start at some point. And he's just shot on the P2. But Just Sander is the one now who's taken full advantage of these 3 battling. And they're going to go 3 wide. It's Aero who's sandwiched in right now between the other 2 cars. He's got nowhere to go other than the grass. And somehow he slows that car down. Had to use a brake board to do it, but just had nowhere to go between the other two. Oh my god, what's that flying across the track? I think that was a brake board. The error had to get rid of. He went straight into a brake board and then somehow slowed the car down in time for turn 1. Brilliant driving from him. And now we've got the guys behind, Bone and TTM Stenner, side by side. Stenner gets the move done. Crucial for him because he's got 5 laps now to catch up with the top 4, and I think he's definitely going to be able to do that with them battling. And the 2 Campos drivers now going to be battling in a second down towards Ascari. This is really, really good racing from these top guys. Putting on a brilliant show here. 20 people here to watch it as well. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And if you're not enjoying this, then I'm not sure what it's going to take, because this is some of the best racing that I have seen for a long time between these guys. We've got a 3-way battle for... Oh, and I've jinxed it. Who did I... Oh, Stenner's out. Stenner's out. The curse of the commentator. Stenner is out. We see him there on the bottom right of your screen. Went almost straight on at Ascari. It's not a safety car. It's a yellow. I full on jinxed it. I shouldn't have said anything. Psycho Chaz has been tapped on the inside. I shouldn't have said anything because Chaz has now been hit by one of the Camposes. Didn't see which one it was. It was 3 wide in Parabolica. You don't have to be an expert to know that's not going to work. And as soon as I said it was great driving, Senna went straight on at Ascari. He's out of the race. Psycho Chaz with a spin at Parabolica after contact with one of these two, Shush or Bone Apple. Whew. But that doesn't deter these two because they are still going to do battle. No team orders here. They were side by side for a lot of Russia last week. And they are going to do battle again. This is for P5 right now. And we've also got Aero, Reflex and Budweiser renewing their battle. And guys, sorry I can't read chat right now. This is a crazy race going on. AJ saying RIP Stenner, you're not wrong there. Nice recovery from Aero. Yes it was. TTM CT Sen Stenner bad. Certainly not a great race from him. It went so much better in the feature race where he dominated and got that win, but he is out of this one. And we're seeing all the guys at the top of the championship, Maxim, Stenner, Division, all out of the points right now. And who's this? Again, these Camposes are going to go side by side. Anyone know why one's white and orange and one's black and orange? Definitely the same team. We're going to learn on the job here. But Shush spent all lap almost about a 10th behind Bone Apple. He's pushed him round lap 8. And now, but he doesn't seem to have enough pace. Is he going to go around the outside here of turn 1? And Bone sends it. Oh, that's contact between the two. And oh, Bone's now on the grass. Let's have a look. And Shush is now going to get away. And Bone's got a penalty. Not sure when he picked that up. But just slightly too aggressive there between the two drivers. Didn't leave enough room. Bone sent it after Shush really had the corner there at turn 1. Bone left it up the inside. And contact was made. Nothing too damaging for the two, I don't think. But Bone just had a slight taste of gravel there. And looks like Budweiser's just starting to creep back up to the back of Just Sander. 1.5 seconds that gap. And let's have a look at Zampa. Let's give him some airtime. Hasn't had much of it yet this weekend. We tried to catch his stricken car at Parabolica in the feature race, but it just disappeared. But now we're going to give him some airtime as he's going to go side by side with Psycho Chaz. This is for P9 right now. And it looks like he's going to get that move done. Psycho Chaz backs off and Zampa with that takes late braking to the extreme. Decides to go through the gravel and Psycho Chaz says thank you very much. I'm going to take back P9. And Zampa will have to have another go at that. Russ616 has hosted. Thank you very much, Russ. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hosting. Appreciate that. Brazy's in the chat. Hello, Brazy. Hope you're well. And what have we got here? The Campos is again 2 laps, 3 laps to go. Bone has recovered from that trip through the gravel to catch back up to his teammate. And is now going to go side by side. Let's have a look at penalties while these guys are doing that. And oh my god. This is Bone Apple T up the inside. Shush on the inside for the second part, but gets too much curb. Now it's his turn to get a bad exit, and Bone can escape. These guys are 4.5 seconds off the top four now. Constant battling between these two guys. I can't wait to read that briefing after the race between these two guys, the two Campos drivers. And now we've got Budweiser. Doesn't seem to be able to close that gap, and he's now focused on defending, not attacking, because with 2 laps to go, he Shush picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's crucial in his battle. Budweiser with a slight trip onto the grass, and again on the inside. And but he's not got a time penalty here. Budweiser could be crucial if he's going to hold on to P2, because Reflex and Aero, whilst it look like they might get past here, Aero with DRS enabled have got 3-second time penalties, which could jump Bud at the end of the race. And we're seeing Reflex Pilot up the inside. Good move from him. Budweiser, not much of a defence, but like we said, not got a time penalty right now. Just needs to stay in and around these guys, and he will get P2. And Jesus, every lap we have a look at the timing screen as we've got a yellow flag. That's Division has retired at Ascari this time. He had one go at retiring there a few laps ago, and this time he has decided, not on purpose I might add, but this time his car has decided to give up at Ascari. Another spin, we can see it there on the map. He is out of this race, and after a great recovery drive in the feature, a couple of spins at Ascari, and he is out of this race with 1.5 laps to go. Let's check in again on this battle for P2 and P3. Reflex, Budweiser, Aero in this battle. What a race just Sanders had. Was involved in this scrap to start with, but managed to pull away, and he's looking good now with no penalties, with 1 lap and a bit to go. He looks like he's going to win this race. After that, it's anyone's guess. These two have just spread out a little bit, the two Camposes. So this is the battle we're going to focus on. As Stenner leaves the session, he's already out, so no problems there. This is the battle we're going to focus on. 1 lap to go in this sprint race. What a great hour or so of racing we've had. All of these guys putting on a brilliant show tonight. AJ Mars has subscribed with Twitch Prime. AJ, thank you very much for your support as always. Does a lot of work for SSR, much appreciated always. And Aero now is 1/10 behind Budweiser. Is he going to have a look up the inside here into the second chicane? He is indeed. Slight contact. Oh, and he just about makes the decision to back out instead of I think what would have been contact, and probably damaging contact for both of them there. And Aero on the inside was much more likely to spin than Budweiser was, so Aero makes the wise decision to back out. And that's going to mean that Budweiser now, within a second of Reflex, is probably going to take P2 with that lack of time penalty for him. Reflex is going to take the 3rd step on the podium from what we can tell. And Aero is probably going to miss out, unfortunately, on the podium. Who spun? Someone spun here. Is it Maxim? I think it is. So we can ignore that. He's not had a great race, to put it mildly. But let's see then, because Sander is going to come around Parabolica to cap off this 11-lap sprint race. He's led for most of the second half, manages to escape the scrap behind him, and just Sander wins the sprint race in Monza. Reflex Pilot takes 2nd on track, but Budweiser jumps him. He takes P2, Reflex P3, Aero is going to take P4. Bone Apple with another solid finish takes P5, just ahead of his teammate Shush. What a race-long battle they had. Bradley Johnson and Vortex make up the final points positions in the sprint race. Brilliant, brilliant race from everyone. And wow, I'm going to need a lie down after that. Luckily it's about 11:30 here in England. That was crazy, and we're going to hopefully speak to some of the guys who were involved in it. We did have some problems with that last week, but hopefully we can sort it out. We're just waiting for Zampa and Ultra Titan to finish. They're coming around the final corner now. Not great from Ultra or Zampa so far, yet to score points in the races. Ultra did get a pole position in Russia, which has given him 4 points in the championship, but between them they're yet to score in a race. Cheers, guys. Thanks for the love in the chat. So British. I'm going to assume that's a compliment, Craig. I hope it is. I would understand if it's not, though. And there we go. Zampa P10, just outside the points, unfortunately. But good recovery from down from P16. Shushra driver of the day. His recovery as well. He was P14, I think, on the grid, so he did battle back up to the midfield there. And we are just going to see who our top 3 points overall, and then we'll show an invite to the park so we can get some. We see just Sam on the podium there. Good job from him. And see who was our top 3 point scorers overall weekend. TTM Stena, Just Sander, and Reflex. Let's get them in the Just Sander. That's not what we want. Let's invite him to the party. I think Stena left for session, so I'm not sure we'll be able to get him in, but let's get Reflex. In, and we'll get the 2 F2 coordinators, Monkey and Division, in as well. See if we can get them in. Yeah, you're not wrong there, Craig. That is for sure. Hello guys, tick the box. Hopefully it works better than last week. There's no box. Oh, brilliant. This is gone. This is a common issue from the last few weeks, guys. Unfortunately, we've got no way to hear these guys in the party, unfortunately. So it's just joining. So we won't be able to hear from them, but rest assured, I know they had a very good race, all of them. Certainly in the feature for Division and the sprint race for Sand Reflex. But we'll be able to hear from them, unfortunately. But thanks everyone for tuning in. And like I said, we've got Tier 1 tomorrow, 11 PM at Austria. So tune in for that. And we will see you then. We'll be back. Division, where are we racing next week? Do you know? For F2? Australia. We're back at Albert Park in Australia next 10 PM for F2. So thanks very much.